India Global.
India Global. Hello and welcome. Join me, Pradeep Kumar,
And Vinita Menon.
as we travel to a country located at the entrance to the Arabian Gulf, whose waters are amongst the busiest sea lanes in the world, carrying tankers laden with oil.
And whose own seafaring vessel, the dhow, built from timber and coir from India, once dotted the seas from Asia to Africa, carrying fish and dates and frankincense.
Yes, let's visit Oman.
The Sultanate of Oman lies in the southeast corner of the Arabian Peninsula in Asia.
It has land borders with Yemen, Saudi Arabia and the UAE and faces three seas: the Arabian Gulf, the Sea of Oman and the Arabian Sea.
With a varied topography of mountains, valleys, the desert and the coast, it's also home to several unique species like the Arabian tart and the oryx.
And its green wadis bear some of the world's finest pomegranates and dates.
An absolute monarchy, Oman is an Islamic nation with a bicameral legislature.
Muscat in the north is the capital city. That was dance music from the northern Omani city of Sur.
India and Oman are bound by geography, and their historical maritime trade linkages have seeped into several cultural affinities.
Indian ambassador to Oman, J.S. Mukul, speaking of the warm and cordial relations between the two peoples, says,
India and Oman have exchanged visits at the highest level. Our President and Prime Ministers have visited Oman in the past. Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh visited Oman in November 2008. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said Al Said had paid a landmark visit to India during 1997. In fact, India awaits another visit by Sultan Qaboos, including for receiving the Jawaharlal Nehru Award for International Understanding.
India's relations with Oman have since grown into a strategic partnership. India and Oman hold similar views on most international issues, including reforms in the United Nations, and have traditionally supported each other's candidatures in the international fora. Ambassador J.S. Mukul says,
The visit of our Prime Minister in 2008 marked an important landmark. The relations have been upgraded to a strategic partnership. India and Oman have formed a joint parliamentary friendship group recently, and Omani parliamentarians had visited India. We have established a mechanism for political consultations since 2003, and this has been meeting regularly. We have also signed numerous agreements for cooperation in several areas, while agreements for cooperation in other areas are being negotiated or finalized.
India is seen as a top destination for education of Omani students. Ambassador Mukul says,
India is today training 125 Omani nationals annually under its ITEC program. Oman is keen to learn from the Indian advancement in the fields of ICT and science and technology.
that was dance music from the Dhafar Valley in southern Oman.
The Indian community, numbering around 7 lakh, has contributed immensely to the growth and development of the Sultanate in several fields. Speaking of the vibrant people-to-people contact, Indian Ambassador J.S. Mukul says,
Owing to the historical maritime trade relations, the people-to-people contacts between our two countries date back to centuries. With the result, there have been strong cultural ties that have developed. Many among Omanis know how to speak Hindi, Urdu and Malayalam. They like Indian cuisines, costumes, jewelry, dance and music. Bollywood film stars are extremely popular in Oman. People-to-people contacts remain very intense. There are around 400 direct flights between India and Oman per week. Omanis travel frequently to India for tourism, medical treatment and education. Oman has a very large, diverse, accomplished and highly regarded Indian diaspora community that has contributed tremendously to our people-to-people contacts and the bilateral relations.
Ambassador J.S. Mukul highlights the key areas in which trade between India and Oman has grown.
The size of our bilateral trade is about $5 billion per annum. India has emerged as the largest destination of Omani non-oil exports during 2012. During the year 2012-13, India's exports to Oman have also doubled. Yet, there exists a vast potential for growth of the bilateral trade.
In the field of investments, India and Oman also have several impressive joint ventures, says Ambassador Mukul.
India and Oman have over 1,500 joint ventures valued at about $7.5 billion. Omifco fertilizer plant in Sur, with an investment of around $1 billion, is the flag bearer among them. The Bharat Oman Refinery Limited in India is another example of a major project.
Indian companies too have a presence in Oman, adds Ambassador Mukul.
Several Indian companies are working in Oman and have recently won mega projects worth about $1 billion in the construction sector. Indian PSUs like Air India, LIC, New India Assurance, Bank of Baroda, State Bank of India, TCIL and EIL have presence in Oman.
Different institutional mechanisms like the Joint Commission meeting and the Joint Business Council have been set up to oversee economic cooperation between India and Oman.
That was Rabuba music from Dofar. Oman is an attractive destination for tourists, with water sports along the many miles of coastline, fishing, caving. Yes, Oman has the world's second largest cave. Whale watching, simply watching the ships go by carrying the world's crude oil.
Not to forget exotic soups and a cuisine reflecting taste from all of Oman's old empire, as well as vibrant expat community.
That wraps up our trip to Oman. But before we go, here's a question for you. Who is the world's only Hindu sheikh? He lives in Oman.
Send in your answers to indiajourneys360@gmail.com. The first 3 correct answers will get a music CD from AIR's archives and a DVD from the Ministry of External Affairs. Congratulations, Siddharth Shankar Bora from Anand in Gujarat and Muthu Raja from Chennai for sending in the correct answer to our question on Mauritius.
Abhimanyu Anath, well-known Mauritian writer in Hindi, is the first person from the Indian diaspora to be made honorary fellow by the Sahitya Academy, the highest literary body of India.
That brings us to the end of this program.
You can also listen to this program on our website, www.newsandair.com.
Thank you for all your positive feedback. Keep writing in.
Until next time then, goodbye.
And travel safe.